Welcome, Wrestlebuddies, to another episode of Meet the Wrestlebuddies. Just like Drake, we are going back to back. We are here today with one, the only, the drip king of wrestling. He is Jimmy Bebe.
What up? What up?
How are we doing today, brother?
Doing good, doing good. Just got done with lunch. Been
Hell yeah.
waiting to do this interview for a minute.
Yeah, we were supposed to do this last weekend, but again, life happens. Same reason.
Yeah, absolutely.
But let's not waste any time. We're here to interview you for about an hour, Jimmy. So let's let the people know a little bit about you. Where does your affinity for pro wrestling start?
It happened. I watched before. I would go to my friend's house. They had all the toys. They had the little ring, so I'd play with them. I recognized, the Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan. I'd watch it with them every once in a while. But it was one day I was watching by myself. I came across, I flipped the channel, and it was Jake the Snake. And he was sicking the Cobra on Macho Man. And I was just like, yo, you can't do that. What is going on here? This is nuts. This is not what I guess associate with professional wrestling. It was just big men beating each other up. I was like, wait, this goes far beyond that. What is going on here? I was just sucked in, and there's been things that kind of built my love up more, but that was the one moment I feel like that just caught my attention. Was like, okay, this could be fun. This could be cool.
And do you remember what was the first match that you watched, if you can remember?
Couldn't tell you. Like I said, I was watching at my friend's house. There was a Royal Rumble, I remember, where Hulk Hogan kept just going under the bottom rope and then re-entering. And I kept thinking, like, yo, that's cheating. What is he doing? That's not cool. I think that's the first match I remember, but I couldn't tell you which one it was. 91, 92 maybe. I'm not sure.
Yeah, Hogan going under the ropes. I think that's 91.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
He would just go under the ropes, chill, have a break, and then go back in the ring. It's like, that doesn't seem right.
Is that better or worse than the model now, where we're just going to take him out of the match for a while and then stretcher him to the back and have him come back and save the day?
I guess my issue with it is that it was Hulk Hogan. He's supposed to be the real American hero, eat your vitamins, say your prayers and all that. And he's just like, I'm going to take the easy road. No, you can't be the American hero and show everybody how to cheat, man. That ain't cool. But the model today isn't bad, as long as it's not overdone. Like with Randy 2 years ago, when he got taken out, came back in to attack Edge. That one made sense to me. That was cool. But
Alex has already given you crap. He's where's the crown, King?
You getting to see the real Jimmy today. I had to show off my new hat.
That's a nice hat. The Chicago flag.
Yeah. It's my souvenir from the trip.
We got Courtney in the chat. How you doing, Courtney?
Hello.
All right. So we touched on where you started with pro wrestling. What promotion were you drawn to most in your childhood?
WCW, 100%. Because I watched the Jake the Snake thing, and I was like, okay, this is cool. I liked Macho Man. But it was Razor, and I wrote about this. It was Razor that kind of like made me like, okay, I really, really enjoy this. I was just so fascinated with the character. He was just so cool. And he just had that it factor to him that was like, I have to see what's going on with this guy. So when he made the change over to WCW, I was just periodically tuning in at the time, and I saw that the start of the NWO. I'm like, yo, this is the coolest thing in the world. Like, there's times I talk about this with friends, and I'll start tearing up. That's just how much I love the NWO stuff. And then just how great the NWO was, that made stars out of people like DDP, Goldberg, and things like that. So I just started becoming more, attracted to that. And then the Luchador, that was my introduction to Luchador wrestling. Ray Jr., Eddie Guerrero, Psychosis, just all the Juventud, all these guys. So WCW was where it was at. All my friends watched WWF, so they'd give me shit. But I was like, nah, you can't top this. This stuff's nuts. Chris Jericho fan from like way back in the day here, like the Lion Tamer, the Lion Heart. Chris Jericho was
Lion Heart, Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
So the way you're talking, you were more drawn to the characters, it seems.
Absolutely. Some people have called me a cinephile. I love movies. I love TV shows. I love the stories that come with them. And I always liked sports growing up, but wrestling just gave me the best of both worlds. So stories and characters are always the thing that I gravitate to more. And that's just how it's been. I appreciate matches. I appreciate the skill involved. It's performance art, in my opinion, and I love watching it, and I will give credit where it's due. But if the character work isn't there and the story isn't there, then the match itself is just kind of like, okay, that was fun, but give me something else. It just doesn't have the same weight to it, I think, unless I have the characters and story with it.
And you're able to carry your love of wrestling and passion onto your kids as well. How has that affected your view on wrestling, seeing their look on everything?
I think, and this goes with I found this out with movies, because there's been movies I've watched that I'm like, yo, that movie was awesome, and then people are like, you're crazy. Case in point, the Ghostbusters reboot with the female cast. Everyone hates that movie, and I love it. I went to watch with my son. He loved it, and I think that's why I think I was able to just appreciate it, because he appreciated it. And there's lots of movies like that. So we all know WWE has kind of shifted its focus to the younger crowds and all that. So that's why a lot of the fans who were fans, 5, 10, 20 years ago, they can't appreciate it like they used to. And it's because it's evolved. If you don't have kids to watch it with, I don't think you're going to appreciate it the same way. You can appreciate, every once in a while you get the matches that are like, oh, that's cool. They get edgy every once in a while, and you're like, oh, that's what I miss. For the most part, it's for kids, and if you have kids that you can appreciate it with, it's just going to open your eyes more. And I feel like that's where my positive outlook on it comes from, is that I'm not trying to say like, this isn't the wrestling I grew up on. I'm like, this is the wrestling that they're doing now. They're able to appreciate it. I see why they can appreciate it. Let me get in that mindset so that I can appreciate it as well. And it works. That's why you always, I talk positive about WWE more than most people do. And I feel like that's why. I just see it from a different look.
Yeah, you were able to like change my point of view on like the whole Lily doll aspect of everything too, because that definitely wasn't for me, but the way you explained it made so much more sense after the fact.
My whole thing is understanding. I like to understand everything before I jump to conclusions on things. If you're not trying to understand things, then you're setting yourself up for disappointment, in my opinion. So if you can wrap your head around like why this is working, why they're doing this and that, and you think logically about things, like, okay, I get it. Not for me. It's not taking up too much of my time, so I'll deal with it and then go on to the other better stuff.
So where does your difference in opinion go with you and your kids? Like your favorite wrestler to their favorite wrestler? Is there some things that you just sit there and go, man, you kids are crazy?
My son prefers AEW to WWE, so that's the first differ. I prefer WWE to AEW. But as far as my daughter, she's only interested in a few of the men. Most of the time, she's just like, if it's not women's wrestling, she don't care too much. I prefer women's wrestling to the men's wrestling as well, so that is beneficial. I'm able to like kind of listen to her be excited about things, as opposed to when I'm trying to enjoy something my son doesn't care about. He's like, rah, rah. I'm like, yo, be quiet. I'm trying to appreciate this. He likes the flippy stuff. I appreciate it. I'm not a big fan of it though. It ricochets, and he was a big Young Bucks fan at first. I'm glad I broke that one. And the worst one possible, Penta. He just loves Penta, and I'm like, no, like the other guy. He's just better, like him more. But me and him go head to head a little bit more than the daughter does. But it's all in fun, because they don't ever watch it going like, this is stupid, and then continue to watch it. If they're done, they're done. They walk off, and then that's all it is.
Now, this next question might be able to tie in a little bit to your family as well. Behind you, you have a massive collection of memorabilia, figures, you name it. Is there any, like, do you and your kids bond over that, or is that just something that you share to yourself?
Yes. As a matter of fact, let me show some things off here real quick. My son likes to create ones out of his, and then he gives them to me so that I can display them. I'm not good at doing it, but he'll just take jackets and masks and all that other stuff, and he'll just create little characters like that. We had this one right here. Where'd he go? It's up there. There's one of me that I'm so proud of because it was. I think
you've posted it before, haven't you?
Yes. But it's an Elias figure. Dog chewed his hair off, so it's like, what can we do? So I just colored his hair in. I put little highlights in the face. And we got Jimmy. We got the Drip King Jimmy. Throw the little boa thing on there for it, and it's cool as shit. I love it. I did it for him, but he's like, Dad, I want you to have it display in your NWO stuff because he knows I'm NWO for life. So that's where that sits now with all the NWO gear. And I just recently got the little girl into it as well. She's got her Alexa Bliss collection, and then now she's into Bianca Belair. So that's fun. We go to the store. We know exactly where we're going first. We're going to toy section. We're seeing what's new.
So they have their own little collections as well?
Yes. Like I said, my son, most of his is starting to be AW. He just gets excited when he sees the certain ones. He's all about the chases. He's destined to find chases. But little girl, she just wants the females. We got her, like I said, we got her the Alexa Bliss, Bianca. I think I got her Carmella as well. And she's gonna grow from there. She don't get to watch it as often as we do, but the more she watches it, the more interested I can tell she gets. So that's fun.
That's awesome that you're able to share that passion with your kids as well, especially at a young age. Any chance of them just inheriting your collection, or are they going to have to buy it off you?
Oh, no, yeah. It's already done. He's inheriting it. The second he's inheriting it. I'm sure there's things that I'll have to split up between the two of them, but a lot of
things that other kid likes more than the other.
Yeah. But like pretty much the female stuff she'll probably want. I think she likes the Fiend as well, so she'd get Fiend stuff. But yeah, because it goes beyond wrestling, but I won't get into that because it's massive. It goes everywhere.
What is the most expensive part of your collection?
Wrestling?
Yeah, let's just go wrestling wise.
I don't have anything crazy.
Something ridiculous.
I got two replica belts. I got the Stone Cold Smoking Skulls one, as I've shown off a few times. It's my pride and joy. I love it. And I got the Raw Women's title. I got that one as well. But most of my other stuff is just because I won't spend too much on things. I stay in my lane. I don't want to be one of those people that's like, it's $1,000, but I really need it. But nah,
got that intelligence.
Yeah, if I can find a reason, I'll get it. There's one Punk one I want real bad, but again, I'm not shelling out the cash for it. So it's like.
So is the belts the most expensive thing you have in your total collection, or do you have something ridiculous?
I would say it's the most I've spent on one thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna go back a little bit in time. You said you grew up watching WCW more. Who was your favorite wrestler growing up? And how has it changed more as you've grown up as an adult?
Man, that's hard because in WCW I can't really pinpoint like one person. There was just so many characters that I just liked. They were just like I said, Chris Jericho I really loved in WCW. When he debuted WWF, it was one of the biggest pops I ever had in my house. Like I jumped up, was just like crazy excited. Ray Jr. I loved him as a kid. I don't love him so much anymore. That nothing against him, just not what I like anymore. Scott Hall, as I said, there was something. He was just so cool. I was like,
he was the coolest.
I like DDP because he took his ass. He got an ass whooping every week, but he kept coming back for more. He's like, I got a mission, and I don't care what it's gonna take. I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna finish what I came here for. Let's see. Those were the WCW guys. I guess I gravitated to the most. With WWF, it was Stone Cold. Clearly, no question about it. That was the guy. Like. I know the next generation after me, it's all Hogan this, and then the generation after me, it's John Cena. But Stone Cold is on that level as far as I'm concerned. Maybe not the mainstream name that those other two names were, But I think he made wrestling the most mainstream it's ever been, and he was at the top of that. And you can't ignore the greatness that it took to get there. I think that gets lost on people sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Hogan was great, and he made wrestling big, but when wrestling was mainstream, it was Stone Cold. Like,
and he took that ball and ran with it.
Yeah, and he's been at the height that none of the others have when wrestling was at its peak, and that's, I guess, my argument as to why at least I say he's 1B with Hogan. I personally think he's bigger, but again, that's me. So that was my guy in WWF. I didn't really like that many other people.
It was Stone Cold. If he was on the show, you were watching.
Yep. There was the one thing on WWF that I would not change back over to WCW. Because I would watch Nitro, and then they do the replay right after, and I'd just watch the replay again. I wouldn't even bother watching the last hour of Raw. I'm like, nope, let's watch Nitro again. Let's see what I missed.
Now, you go to a lot of meet and greet and shows now that I've seen, with WrestleMania being the most recent. Yeah. Did you go to a lot of shows growing up, or is this something more now?
So the first show I went to was the last Nitro ever. That was a heartbreaking experience. And then I didn't go to another show until WrestleMania 37.
Okay.
I think. Yeah, WrestleMania 37. But once WrestleMania 37 happened, I feel like my schedule is way more wide open now since I just helped my girlfriend run her business. So I'm able to, I guess, have more time to go to these things and take the kids and, enjoy it and all that. So since then, AEW, NXT shows, WWE shows, house shows, WrestleMania 38, I've just been able to really enjoy all that. And as far as the meet and greets, cons, that's the best way to go. And if you can find a hint for everybody, if you can find wrestlers at cons that aren't wrestling related, you're going to be able to get much more time with them than you would, say, at WrestleCon or something like that. Because we were able to really talk to Sammy and Tay a lot when we went to saw them, because it was an anime con.
Okay.
Yeah, there was literally like 20 people there to see them. And that's not a knock on them. It's just people were there to see anime stuff.
Yeah, that was an anime convention.
Yeah. And Sammy was there because he just wanted to see anime stuff. So
he's a big nerd?
Yeah. He's big time into that stuff. And like my son was able to ask him like 20 questions at the Q&A. And then we sat at the table with him for about 10 minutes talking. Cool as could be. I know he gets a lot of shit online. He's not the shithead you guys think he is, I promise you. He's actually a really cool, nice guy. It seems like he's grown from his younger years. So give him a chance if you listen and you're still on the hate train.
What would you say is your favorite experience live, barring Mania 38, because there's some bias there that we'll get to in just a little bit.
Okay. My favorite experience? I got to meet Jake the Snake, and he signed the poster it was like a carny kind of poster of him sicking the snake on Macho Man. So it was like a full circle thing. I got to meet the guy who kind of like really caught my attention in wrestling.
Did you get to tell him the story?
Yes, I did. He's very talkative. He loves talking to people. He would tell you stories all day if he has the time. But he was very cool. And like I said, just getting that signed by him, like there in person, it was a cool experience. Just so I could tell my son, like, hey, this is the guy that brought my eyes to it. So.
Brought you to the dance. All right. Now that we got that out of the way, Mania 38. I want to know the emotions that were going through your head when that glass actually shattered. You told us from the very beginning.
I wish people would listen to me more, because I don't just say shit just to say shit.
It might not have went exactly the way you predicted it. It wasn't Austin stunning Austin quite on night one, but
it was a match. That's all I said. It was going to be a match, or he was going to whip his ass. That's what I said from day one. It happened. But it didn't really even hit me. Like the whole time, because we drove from Florida to Texas for it. The whole trip, I'm just like, okay, here we go, Mania. If the main mindset was like, I hope Mania this year is just better than it was last year. Because whereas I liked last year's Mania, the experience I don't think was the WrestleMania experience I've been waiting for. So this year, it definitely was the main experience I expected it to be. You know, last year, limited crowd, it's understandable. So we're at the hotel and I'm getting ready. We do the little TikTok where I'm getting ready to Stone Cold Steve Austin and I'm putting the belts on. And I'm like, this is actually going to happen. This is kind of crazy. At the very least, I'm going to see him live, which is something I never thought was going to happen. And just a quick to everybody, if you have the chance to see something you never thought was going to happen, I don't care what's in your way, do it. You will not regret it at all. So we're walking through, you know, and everybody's, you know, what, to give me a little chance because I'm decked out.
You're all stone colded out.
Carrying the belt and everything. I'm like, what? So we're waiting throughout the whole night. Kevin Owens is in the ring. He's talking it up. He's building it up. And then I can see my son just kind of like getting giddy sitting next to me. Like he doesn't know Stone Cold. He just knows him from what I've told him. And even he was getting giddy because he knew how big of a moment it was for me.
He was happy, excited for you.
Yeah. The
That's
glass
awesome.
breaks, and I don't hear anybody else for probably like 2 minutes because I'm just losing my mind. Tunnel vision. I lost complete focus of the kids to the side. I'm just like, it's right there. It's happening. And then I look over, and my son, he's going crazy. Daughter, not so much. She's like, this is cool. This is fun. But she's completely oblivious to who Stone Cold is. And yeah, I think it took me about halfway through the match before I finally like calmed down and realized like this is happening. It's a surreal moment. That's all I can say. It's just surreal. In my lifetime, I've had 2 moments like that. And the other, I went to see Rage Against Machine like 6 years after they broke up. So it's a moment I'm like, it's never going to happen. It happened. We were flat broke. I made it happen because I wasn't missing it, and it was the greatest concert experience I've ever had. So we made WrestleMania like it nowhere near as hard as it was back then to see Rage, but
so it still like holds true if you have the chance to see something.
Yeah.
No matter what, go see it.
If you're a fan of things like I am, because I like with my fandom, if I like something, like I'm in it. Like I love it. I give it my dedication. And I just appreciate everything about it. So if you're a fan of things and you have the chance, you don't miss that opportunity. Like that's all I can say. Because if you do, you will regret it. And who wants to regret shit when they're, 60 years old? Like, man, I could have went and saw my favorite wrestler if I just, would have called into work instead of letting work control you and shit like that.
Mm-hmm. Now, aside from Stone Cold, other parts of the 2 nights, how did you enjoy them?
I loved it. I thought Mania was excellent. I can't think of a moment from this year's WrestleMania that I just hated. The Sammy Johnny Knoxville match, it doesn't get funner than that.
That was a lot of fun, and I saw it get a lot of hate online.
Yeah, if you're hating it, then you're not for me because that's fun. Like if you don't enjoy fun, then
yeah,
I got no time for you. Yeah, I just think everything about it was awesome. The access part was awesome. Because again, that's not something they had last year. They couldn't do it because of COVID and all that. So to be able to go in and kind of see, it's like a con floor almost, and get to like kind of see the stuff you don't normally get to see. I want to do the entrance. I want to do an NWO entrance. I didn't get a chance to, so hopefully next year I can make that happen. But yeah, the panels. I wish we could have done more panels, but WWE likes to put price tags on things, so you got to pick and choose sometimes. But they're cool. Seeing Randy and Riddle like in person and kind of not playing to what you see on TV and being truthful and answering questions, that was very cool. I always appreciate things like that when you can like really get honest answers from them. They don't pull punches. Yeah, that there was no. I don't think I have one complaint about WrestleMania this year. I was there, so I'm biased, but when you experience things live, they're going to be better every time. It doesn't matter what it is.
And the Cody pop live,
it was nuts. And night 2, before the show started, he was down in the little area below us because I was right there on the side of the stage. and there's like the area where the medics come and the wrestlers come out to watch and all that. Cody was just mingling down there, and then finally someone noticed him, so he started playing up to him, and he was getting the same pop then off camera, just goofing with the fans that he got when he debuted. It was crazy. Cody Mania was a very real thing to anybody that wants to try and doubt it. It was absolutely nuts. I went to Access the next morning, like as soon as they opened, trying to get Cody merchandise, and they didn't even have the shirt I wanted to. It sold out like that. So
and I did see your post about the shirt that you did get.
Yeah,
being very upset about that.
Oh, they sent me a new one, so all
hey.
good. Yes. So don't be mad at WWE Shop. They will hook you up as long as you call and are respectful to them. They will hook you up. They'll help you out, and they'll fix you with whatever's wrong.
That is some great advice.
Yeah.
We got our first fan question from David McKinnon. He said, with the NJPW under 29 tourney going, what 3 WWE wrestlers would you enter?
Theory number 1, absolutely, no question about it. I don't know ages, so this might be a little hard.
I might be able to help you.
I know pretty much nobody on the main roster is under 29 except for Theory. So let's see. I really like Breaker. I think
he's under 30.
Yeah. I would assume he's under 30. I like Breaker. He still needs some season, and he would not fare well against most of those guys. But I know he's under 29, and I like him. So, and then, man, what's his name? Seth Rollins' guy. I don't have his name at the tip of my tongue. He just wrestled. Who did he just wrestle? I can't remember what his name is. He was in NXT UK and he just came over.
Oh, Nathan Frazier.
There you go. Him.
Yeah, I think he's like 22, isn't he?
Huh?
He's like 22, isn't he?
Yeah. I'm not that familiar with him. I do know he's amazing though, and he would probably be able to put on some matches with those guys over there. So.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Those 3. And I'm very big on Theory. That's why I'm not even a question. Theory would be in this.
So, Jimmy, what would you say is your Mount Rushmore of wrestlers?
Now, here's a tricky one, because are we talking about my favorites? Are we talking about the people
who do you think are the 4 greatest wrestlers of all time? Not favorite bias, but
the 4 most influential to the business. In
your opinion, yes.
Okay, yeah, that's as I pointed out earlier, Hulk Hogan and Stone Cold, they're always 1A, 1B to me, so they're there. Ric Flair, as much as I'm not a fan of him, I think it would be asinine to exclude him from a Mount Rushmore, honestly. And then John Cena, because he had to carry the company in a time that I don't know if many others could have. People were tuning out of wrestling, and he was able to kind of like keep it afloat.
And he was getting hated.
Yeah, and he never once faltered. He never slipped up. And while he's doing that, he's breaking Make-A-Wish Foundation records. He's becoming a megastar while still doing the WWE schedule. Like, I don't know if any of the wrestlers prior to him could have carried the schedule he did at the top like he did. Was he pushed too much at times? Absolutely. Did he probably deserve it, though? Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, Hogan, Austin, Flair, Cena. That's the 4 most influential ones of all time, in my opinion.
All right. Now let's flip it over to your 4 favorite wrestlers.
Okay. Austin, obviously. CM Punk, again, obviously. Kevin Owens and Becky Lynch. I hate that it's taken this many years for a female to be able to crack that list and get on there, but I put Becky Lynch's work up against any of them. That's how great I think she is, and yeah, she's probably number 3 on that ahead of Kevin Owens at this point. I just think she's doing that good of work.
Now, you mentioned a little earlier that you were a cinephile. WWE studios have had quite a long-running history. Can you give me your top 3 WWE films?
Couldn't. I think they all suck. I don't think any of the movies were any good.
No love for the Chaperone.
No love for the Chaperone. No, I'm not even getting any love to See No Evil. That's not happening superhero.
Ooh, I actually like See No Evil. The first one, at least.
Yeah, I don't think any of them, because again, story is my thing, and they didn't put much thought into their stories. It was more like, we have an idea, run with it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, who cares? It has our name on it. People will still watch it.
And they threw some money at some people.
Yeah.
Halle Berry got quite a bit of money. All right. So, wrestlers that have done movies.
Okay. What
can you give us, like, Jimmy's movies involving wrestlers?
Number one is going to be funny, but it's MacGruber. They don't have big roles.
Yes.
They don't have a big role, but there's like 6 of them, and it's probably one of the funniest scenes in the whole movie.
I was dead.
Yeah, I love that movie, and again, it doesn't revolve around them. They're very short, but man, the cameo was just priceless. They Live with Roddy Piper. Honestly, that's going on any classic list. The Rock hasn't done good movies, but he's done fun movies. I like The Rundown. I think that's just a fun movie. You just turn on, watch it, and it's just a good time.
That's the one with Knoxville, not the one with
Sean William Scott.
Okay, so that is the one with Sean William Scott.
And then honestly, Cena, for the most part, has not missed. I've liked pretty much everything I've seen him in, with the exception of that Fireman movie. That was stupid. But he's at least entertaining in his movies, and that's all I could ask for.
Courtney is asking, what was the movie that Dolph Ziggler and John Morrison did recently? She forgets. Do you know, Jimmy?
Wasn't it like a Marine movie? Like Marine 11?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it had The Miz running through backstage.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you. I know Miz did like 4 of them. I think Randy did one of them. Dean Ambrose did one of them.
And then Cena and Mr. Kennedy did the others.
Okay, yeah. So I'm assuming that's what it's going to be. But again, since I don't like the WWE movies, I don't pay too much attention to them. If I hear someone mentioning it, then like, okay, yeah, I'll check it out. But I've never heard anyone say anything good about any of the movies. So it's like, why even watch? Also, nod to Dave Bautista because I left him out of that list. And after watching Army of the Dead, I have to give him props because he sold that movie to me. I think he did a fantastic job.
All right, now let's talk about some good movies. What are your favorite movies, Jimmy? Let's give your top 3 if you can.
I'll go with the 3 movies I think. I don't know. This is always a hard one, so I'll just go with 3 movies off the top of my head. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It was my very first favorite movie ever. It's one of the main reasons for the Chicago trip, and I had to make sure I got a Chicago hat to commemorate that. I just love the movie. I think it's awesome. He's skipping school as a kid. How could you not love that movie? It's like, that's what I want to do today, not go to school. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I think it's just one of the most beautiful movies ever written. I don't think anyone will disagree with me, at least that it's a well-written movie. And Jim Carrey just performed his ass off. So it's a fantastic movie. And then Mallrats, because as a 16-year-old kid who had a very weird sense of humor that nobody seemed to get, when someone introduced me to Mallrats, I'm like, hey, this is my sense of humor. Someone gets it. It was very eye-opening for me. It allowed me to know that I'm not the only person in the world that has these crazy dick and fart jokes going through their head all day. So I just gravitated to Kevin Smith. I love all his movies, but Mallrats started off, so that has to go on the list of favorites.
All right. Little quiet in the comment section. We got Courtney and David, only ones in there. Let's go on to the next topic. So we were talking about your favorite. Oh, we've got David saying Chasing Amy, one of his favorite Kevin Smiths.
It's a very good movie. Very, very good.
Courtney says that she was in Mallrat.
No, she was
a Mallrat. I am dyslexic as hell.
I was like, what, is she one of the kids that was beating up Jay and Silent Bob after they attacked Beast Bunny?
I am dyslexic as hell. So we talked about your characters, the characters that you love. what matches do you gravitate towards the most? Are you more technical, or do you like the really high spots of like a TLC?
I like high spots every once in a while, which is where most of my, if you do see me griping on, I'll just say AEW because they do it more than other places that I watch. That's my main gripe, is that I see it too often. I think when you do it too often, the high spots kind of lose their value. I'm like, okay, that's cool, but I saw it 2 weeks ago, so it's not a big of a deal. I like it when there's just psychology involved. The best way to, I guess, point that out, the most recent one is the last night, actually, Kyle O'Reilly versus Rey Fenix. Kyle O'Reilly spent that entire match countering all the flips and working on the arm of Phoenix, so that when he finished the match, is because he hit him with the arm bar, and that arm was worked over the entire match. So it's like, okay, that makes sense. Adam Cole and Dax last week, another one that was brilliant. Dax hurt his ribs. He's selling it the whole match, and that was basically his downfall, is the rib injury. I love seeing it when it happens. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen as often anymore. You don't have the people who pay attention to those details. So I really appreciate Dax right now, because he's going above and beyond to make sure we get those matches. And I know a lot of people shit on Punk's return, but I feel like his matches have involved that kind of in-ring psychology since he's been back. He's given Darby Allin his best match, in my opinion, as far as like straight wrestling match, not the high spots. Eddie Kingston. I'm not an Eddie Kingston guy at all. Sorry, Zane, but I don't think he's that good. But when he was wrestling Punk, there was a story. It felt real, and the psychology they were telling in the match, it was like, okay, I'm invested. I like this. It's good. But not the shit on the high spots. They're fun. The Sammy Guevara hitting the cutter on Cody off the ladder. I'm not some kind of idiot that's gonna be like, oh, whoop-de-doo. That was freaking cool.
Did you like the counter that Scorpio Sky did to that whenever he countered that into his own cutter?
I didn't like it because I thought it was too soon to be trying to do that spot again.
Okay.
It's like I hadn't forgotten the last one. And unfortunately, I'm probably never going to forget that spot. So when you try to redo it, it's like, It would have made more sense if it was Cody again and Cody countered it. But it was a cool counter. I'm not going to shortchange it or anything. It was very cool. Just, again, it's devalued because I literally just saw it not that long ago. And then was it 2 weeks after that, we see Darby versus Jeff Hardy where he's doing the thing off. It's like, it's too much. Again, it's cool. Just not so much. That's all I can say about the high spots is like, just tone them down some.
So you would say you're more of a technical guy, or do you like the harder hitting strong style?
I guess as long as there's a story being told in the match, it's not going to be a problem. With the high spot matches, you don't tend to get much story involved because they're more focused on hitting those spots. But with technical, brutal, even if it's literally just punches and kick, like Hulk Hogan was not giving you any kind of wrestling match. It was punch, kick, Hulk up, boot, leg drop. There's nothing special to that. But man, he told stories every time he did it. Like you were watching something unfold, and that's fun. If it's just a match, if we're taking story completely out of it, I would say the technical ones are probably the favorite because you're seeing things you don't see normally. Chain wrestling, just spots that they come up with off the top of their head where you have to be very athletic to hit them. Those are fun. But I tend to not really enjoy them unless there's story involved. That's the biggest thing for me. It has to have story.
All right. Using that, what would you say your favorite storyline is?
NWO.
Just the entirety of the NWO, or like that first
up until the Wolfpack split. I know a lot of people would be like they had too many members, but the idea of the NWO was to come in, invade, and destroy WCW. It was an invasion. So to think that they weren't going to build an army is like, you just want 3 people running through the whole organization. That doesn't seem realistic to me. But if you have basically a a group 25, 30 people strong, hey, I kind of believe that you're there to destroy things. It's hard to book. I think they did too much too fast with it, and that's why it died out so quick. It should have lasted longer. If you look at the Bullet Club still does things to this day.
I think they just had their 9th year anniversary not too long.
Very similar to NWO, but I think they've been able to reinvent it and make it stay at least fresh for the most part. I think it's kind of getting to the point where people are over it, but 9 years, that's understandable. Whereas the NWO 3, that's crazy. It was the thing that changed the wrestling business, but essentially killed WCW because they didn't do it properly. But man, I don't think there's ever been a time in wrestling that I was that invested or in love with watching wrestling than that time, because it just felt real. And I don't think you can really do that kind of thing anymore because of how many things are open now. The people are too smart these days, so you can't emulate things like that. And outside of that, McMahon, Austin, just because again, like those stories, I'm being a very basic fan right now.
Hey, it's understandable.
Those things. Just I'm like, okay, that's fantastic. Straight Edge Society, that would be the third one I'll give. That's the one that brought me back. I quit watching because it was getting boring, and then I just saw it one day because I just stayed tuned just to see if things were getting better, what was happening. I tune in to see Straight Edge Society and cult things. I think they're interesting.
Fascinating.
Yes. I watched the documentaries, the movies. They're fantastic. So when I'm seeing it on WWE, I'm like, okay, this is cool. I like this. And you find out CM Punk isn't just doing good character work. He's a pretty good wrestler. You throw him on commentary, he's killing it. There's not a hole in his game.
I was about to say, Punk is phenomenal on commentary.
Yes, there is not a hole in his game. So I'm like, okay, I really enjoy this, and that's what sucked me back in. So to not give it a nod here, I feel shame on my behalf. So those three are probably my favorite. If I had to pick one, obviously NWO, because it was life-changing for me.
Yeah, and that Austin McMahon one was actually one that Dan brought up yesterday. So it's
you can't ignore it.
No, it shaped wrestling how it is today.
As I said, when Stone Cold was at the top, wrestling was at its peak, and it was at its peak because of that storyline. That you can't ignore it. We can look back and be like, that was silly. Live in the moment.
Everybody has a boss that they want to punch in the face. Yeah. And Stone Cold Steve Austin did that for us on a weekly basis.
Yeah. It's funny. I had an argument with a friend of mine recently about Stone Cold during that time period. He said he was a heel. I was like, what do you mean he was a heel? He goes, he was flipping people off. He was chugging beers. He was beating up his boss. I was like, have you never wanted to do that?
That's Tony down the block.
we were literally living vicariously through Stone Cold Steve Austin. I didn't know it at the time. I was a teenager. But man, I look back, it's like, yeah, that's exactly how I want to treat my boss. So that's the biggest baby face you could possibly have in a realistic era. Like, you can't do anything better. Like, that's the guy you wish you could be to do the things that he was doing. So yeah, I thought he was a heel. I thought that was funny.
All right. What would you say your favorite match is? Does it come from any of those storylines, or is it a match outside of the spectrum?
I have two that I always go to. TLC 2, or at WrestleMania 17, TLC.
Yeah.
That was the first big spot match I can remember. And it's probably the first one that was, like, I guess, attention grabbing the way it was. It like kind of set the stage for what we see today. Seeing all that stuff for the first time, it was like, yo, whoa, how are these guys walking? Like, that's crazy. Stone Cold and Bret Hart, WrestleMania 13. I think it's a masterclass. If you want to know how to tell a story in a wrestling match, you should make every wrestler watch that one 20 times just so that they can really fathom like how a story should be told in the ring. To take the beloved Bret Hart and make him the bad guy without telling people he was the bad guy, that's beautiful. What could you do better than that? You can't.
you can't.
Yeah. And it's so crisp. It was violent, but it wasn't like violent to the point where it's like, okay, this is too much for me. It was just like, they're very stiff. They really want to hurt each other. They hate each other. This is I don't know what else to say about it. It's just that good. And then Rock and Hogan at WrestleMania 18. Again,
it's the story.
The match wasn't anything, but man, that crowd was just if
to this day gives me goosebumps.
Yeah, if I could go back at any point in time to go to any event or anything like that, I want to go watch that match live. I want to be in that crowd because it's just so crazy to this day to watch it. And for Hogan and Rock to be able to, right in the middle of the match, switch it up and be like, all right, well, you're the babyface now, Hogan. I'll play the heel. Let's just do it and see where it goes. And it worked. It was like, bro, that's so cool. It just goes to show the mind. I know a lot of people hate Hulk Hogan these days for his personal reasons. I get it. But
personal reasons.
Yeah, before he's done the wrestling business, I will never shortchange him. And that match is just, again, a prime example of how good he is at professional wrestling. And The Rock too, just for them to just, okay, we got to just leave this game plan and go with what the crowd wants us to do. And it turned out to be just probably the most electrifying match, pun unintended there, the most electrifying match we've ever seen, because that crowd, you will never see another crowd like that, ever.
Now, you said you want to go back in time and watch that match live. Do you think you would be chanting Rocky, or do you think that the crowd would sway you to start chanting Hogan?
I would be chanting Hogan at first because I love Hollywood Hogan.
NWO.
The second he started doing that, let's go Rocky, because I don't get the American hero nonsense. I think it's cheesy. I've thought it was cheesy my entire life. I don't like it. I respect Hogan. He's an icon for the business, but man, that American hero, no, not for me. So I would have switched just like everyone else. I just would have been on the other side of it.
Jimmy the heel in the crowd.
Yeah.
All right. What would you say is your favorite wrestling event? Pay-per-view, random ass episode of Raw?
Like one event or just
one that if you are in a slump and you know pro wrestling is one of the only things to get you out, there's no misses on this card, what event do you go to?
It used to be WrestleMania 17, the obvious answer. Now it's NXT TakeOver New Orleans. It's that ladder match is a prime example of how you can tell a story while doing big spots.
100%.
Unreal the things they were doing. They were hurting each other, and it was beautiful to watch. And that was the event that kind of drive me into hey, NXT is really good. Started going back, watching all the NXT stuff, and man, what have I been doing with my life? I've been missing all of this. And takeovers in general were awesome, but that one stands out to me the most just because of the ladder match. It just puts me in a completely different state of mind as far as appreciating wrestling. The different people, you had Killian Dane and Lars, and they're just brutalizing people. You had Ricochet just doing what Ricochet does. That was my introduction to Ricochet. I was like, oh, whoa, that's okay.
That is ridiculous.
This man is insane. Obviously, Adam Cole, baby, he wins. I'm all for that. And the one who shall not be named because he's no longer in NXT for reasons that may or may not have been his fault. Velveteen Dream, I think he was great for that match as well. He did a lot of spots that made me oh, okay, that's cool. That's cool. That
elbow drop off that ladder, the way he sold.
He didn't drop. He literally was okay, I'm going to jump up, curl, and hit. It was crazy.
That had to hurt so bad.
Yeah.
So it's TakeOver New Orleans. And the main event of that one, that was the non-sanctioned Gargano versus Champa, was it not?
Yep. One of many clashes they had that just are classics. They don't miss. It if there's a card with Gargano versus Champa on it, it's can't miss in my opinion. They're just the chemistry and skill set those two have is unmatched.
It's like our friend Nick says, it was beautiful violence.
Yeah.
All
it was
right.
Triple H's masterpiece that I'm so upset we didn't get to see culminate at NXT New York when Champa got hurt. I hate that for Gargano. He didn't get his moment. But with all the other moments we got, I'm not going to complain. It was still really good. Still very well done.
Was that your favorite Gargano Champa match, or
I couldn't give you a favorite.
the whole series?
I feel like every time they provided you with something a little different, it's reminiscent of Owens Zayn. I don't care how many times they wrestle. Each time they wrestle, I'm getting something different. So for me to pick a favorite is kind of hard because they're all good. This match had something that I really appreciated, but then this match had something I really appreciated. So I just appreciate it as a whole. Like it's just it's the best rivalry probably of the past, except for Owens Zayn, 10, 15 years is, Gargano Champa.
All right. So we've got David McKinnon. He says T-Bar or Champa for Judgment Day.
T-Bar. I like Champa as a heel on his own. The Goldie obsessed Champa is one of the best heels we've seen in recent memory. He was actually legit hated. It wasn't like
him with no music was.
It was so brilliant. A lot of the heels today, they just want to be cool, and I blame the NWO for that. I won't be biased there. I know it's the NWO's fault, but they try to be too cool. And Champa was not trying to be cool. He was legit trying to make people hate him, and I think he did a great job. He doesn't need Judgment Day for that. T-Bar, he needs to drop the name, please. Vince, WWE, do that because it's a silly-ass name. You don't even have to do Dijakovic. Give him something else, but T-Bar is just so dumb.
You could just call him Dijak, and that'd be fine.
There's many other options besides T-Bar. And I think that would work. Putting him and Damian Priest in a tag team, that's two big guys who can actually go. Yeah, that would be very fun to watch.
Give them the belts forever.
Yeah. With factions, I like people who actually need it. I don't like throwing them in there just because it's like, hey, we got all these big names. Because, again, NWO did that, and the balloon popped. So put people in that need the opportunity and see if it helps them get that next level. Which is why I said Liv should have went in instead of Rhea. But I don't make the decisions.
All right, Jimmy, before we get to the final question of the day, I think the crowd might want to know, why do you not like the Young Bucks?
I don't think. I know people will argue with me, and that's fine. Yeah. If you like the Young Bucks, I don't hate you. I don't have any negative ill will towards you. As much as that may seem like the case, how much I talk shit about them, I want everybody to love what they love, enjoy what they enjoy, and I don't want to be the kind of person that rains on your parade. In my opinion, the Bucks do not tell good stories in ring. I know a lot of people disagree with me. That's fine. But it just seems like they go through the moves because they learned them, and they're just doing them to do them. They named their move after Dave Meltzer. They grew up studying Dave Meltzer's match ratings and everything. So I feel like they put their matches together based on what they've learned studying Dave Meltzer. So for all the people who complain that Vince is booking a show for an audience of one himself, I think the Young Bucks are putting on a match for an audience of one, Dave Meltzer.
Mm-hmm.
They want those 5-star matches because they know there's audience out there that will basically hear it's a 5-star match and be like, 5-star match.
Mm-hmm.
They won't think for themselves. And if that's how you enjoy wrestling, so be it. Not knocking you. But me, I think it's silly. I think they're talented. There's no arguing that at all. They are super talented. The way they move around the ring sometimes is like so flawless. I just wish they put more effort into the psychology of things instead of just like, hey, look, we did this, and now we did this, and look, we can do this as well. And then there's nothing great about it. And I also think that since they're the EVPs, they booked the tag team titles to be much more important when they had them as opposed to when everyone else has had them. I think that's really shitty.
It's kind of hard to argue the way you look at it.
You can argue it, but I'm not going to listen to you because I watch the show. It's not like I'm one of those guys that just tunes in and then tunes out. And I'm like, well, I saw
you review the weekly product.
Yeah, exactly.
Every week.
I watch it. I even watch Rampage. I don't watch SmackDown, but I'll watch Rampage. That's how far I've gone with the AEW stuff. I enjoy the product, but man, to see the Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus' tag team title run get treated the way it has is unreal. Jungle Boy is one of your pillars, your original pillars, and you relegated them to Rampage every week, the show where like literally a third of your audience watches. So that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I feel like asking that question gives other people a chance to see that you don't necessarily hate the Young Bucks. It's the storytelling. It's you have a reason for not liking their matches.
I'm not like Young Bucks. They're not WWE, so I hate them. No. They take shots at WWE, so I hate them. No. I for one think shots are funny. I'm not even against them from the talent's perspective. I think it's fine. It's just I feel like, again, they're booking themselves for themselves. They're not. I can't think of a single person I've watched, and I haven't been watching Young Bucks like most people have, but I can't think of a single situation where they were in a feud with someone and the person was better off after. Whether they won or lost, I don't think any of them are better afterwards. And that's what I look at when I look at people on a superstar level. Like, can you get somebody over through win or loss? Is that your goal, or are you in business for yourself? Which is why I appreciate people like Baron Corbin so much. He's not in the business for himself. He's there to help
the business.
Put on a show, rile that audience up, and he gets people over pretty much every single time. There's never been.
He is one of the best at it.
Yes, absolutely. And I just feel like it's crazy to see how much shit he gets and then how much praise the Young Bucks get. And it's like the professional wrestling I grew up watching, that doesn't make sense at all. Mm-hmm. The new audience, I'm not trying to tell you guys how to enjoy it or anything like that. Watch it how you watch it, enjoy what you enjoy. But if you've been watching wrestling at least since the 90s, I guess, you can't look at the Young Bucks and put them up against the test of time against other great tag teams. That's just me, though. I don't think you can do it. I think they would keep up with people like the Hardys, Edge and Christian, Midnight Express. They would definitely keep up with these guys. But they would get exposed as just move performers, I guess. Like, there's nothing else to it. They're just move performers.
All right, Jimmy, this is the final question of the day. We've gone through your whole wrestling from the past, wrestling with your kids, and now we will ask, why do you love pro wrestling?
I touched on it earlier. I grew up watching sports. I grew up movies, TV. I just love storytelling. I love characters, comic books. I love characters in comic books. Not necessarily because they look cool. I just like ones that there's depth to them. There's layers. I just like character work. I think it's just great. Wrestling has always been there. Since the day I started, it's always been there. There's no off season, so I don't have to worry about like, oh, there's 4 months where I don't have anything to do. It's always there. It has its down moments, but your favorite TV show, there's going to be episodes where you're like, that sucked. There's moments in movies where you're like, well, that movie didn't need that. So with wrestling, there's going to be moments, especially when it's been going on as long as it has, there's going to be moments where it's down. But just to combine the sports aspect to the storytelling, it's just the perfect storm for me. Over the years, I've stopped watching NFL like I used to. I stopped watching baseball. I've stopped watching basketball because they've all evolved. I'm not going to say they suck. They just evolved into things I don't like. The wrestling will always have that core. It has to depend on good storytelling and action to back it up. That you can, if you take one of those away, then wrestling isn't wrestling. So they literally can't take it away. And I think that's why I love it so much. I wish I could say it was because it brought fans together, but of all the things in the world, it's the one that doesn't bring fans together. I wish to change that. I know that sounds like a crazy thought, but I want to change that. I feel like that's why I tackle it with such a positive attitude. I get sucked in every once in a while like everyone else, but for the most part, I think I stay pretty positive on things. Because at the end of the day, if you're not enjoying something, you can't be a happy person. Like nobody's watching something saying this sucks and is like, I'm enjoying it. If that's the case, I don't watch it. And that's not the case. There's so much wrestling now to where I can watch. If I'm not enjoying this one, I can watch this one because this one offers something different than this one. And then I don't enjoy this one anymore. Well, I'll just check out this one instead. And they have stuff I enjoy. So it's again, character storyline, the variety that we're offered. It's awesome to me. Like you can't beat that. It triggers your emotions. And I think if you're invested in something to the point where it can make you tear up because you're feeling for something, or you're so excited something happened that you're like,
yeah, you got the goosebumps.
That's awesome. That's just awesome. You can't beat that feeling. So wrestling provides that for me more than any other form of entertainment or fandom I have, I would say. So yeah, that's why I love professional wrestling. I just wish, this might sound egotistical, I wish other fans loved it like I loved it. I'm not saying I love it more. I just want them to love it in a positive outlook, I guess. Stop being dicks, man. Just
watch it to enjoy it.
Watch it, enjoy it, and yeah. I wish I had more wrestling fans growing up. And it's like, now there's no reason people shouldn't have more wrestling fans. And it's like, it doesn't happen because people are just so like, my thing is better than yours. You're an idiot. Like, that's silly. That's just dumb.
Yeah, the tribalism is ridiculous.
And again, tribalism, I don't even know if I want to call it tribalism because, like, you watch NFL.
Yeah.
I assume you're a Broncos fan.
I've got jerseys galore in there, my friend.
So, in your opinion, fuck the Chargers. But at no point are you seeing a Chargers fan be like, I hate you for it. You're just like, my team's better. And that's how it's always been growing up with things. Like, even Monday Night Wars. I'm wearing my NWO stuff to school. My friends are wearing DX and all that. And I'm like, suck it. WWE's better. But we're still boys. Now it's like, you're wearing a WWE shirt, you're an idiot. You're an insane. Yeah. It's like, what? It's far beyond the tribalism. It's just mindsets. People are mad and they don't know how to not be mad, I guess. My advice, don't watch it if you don't like it. You probably won't be mad anymore.
And I think that is extremely good advice. All right, Jimmy, this is the end of the interview. We'll give you some time to plug whatever you want, promote whatever you would like.
If you're not watching the Raw recap, Dynamite recap, what gives? I'm doing this for y'all. I love the interaction. Come join the chat. It's a good time. I enjoy it. I'm here to chat wrestling with y'all. That's what I like. So every Monday night, every Wednesday night after Dynamite and Raw, like within 5 minutes, we're going live. Come join me. Come talk wrestling because, again, I'm positive. I'm not going to come down and shit on the stuff you enjoy. Just come join me. We got, what is it? Oh, Captain's Table this Saturday.
Yes, sir.
Join Brandon. You want to watch that, especially if you like old school wrestling. You definitely want to tune in for that. And if you don't mind, follow me on Twitter and check out my YouTube. I've been a little bit busy. I haven't put out content lately, but I'm going to be getting back to that very soon. Trip King of Wrestling. Just more of my stuff that you see me do on Wrestlebuddy, just on a different platform. I might go a little bit crazy with some things, but you can check that out. Check that one out as well. And not just me. Everybody on Wrestlebuddy does great stuff. If you want good wrestling content that's not hateful, not clickbaity, check out the YouTube. We do lists. We do Quizmaster stuff. That's always fun. Yeah. So you just check those out and follow everybody at Wrestlebuddy. We're all good. We're all good people. That's
and you guys can follow Jimmy right there. His Twitter handle is right there as well. And yeah, I want to thank absolutely everybody that's watched, everybody that's going to watch. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the questions. And Jimmy, thank you for joining me. There's the glasses, Amanda. And there's the crown, ladies and gentlemen.
There you go.
We have had a lovely hour with the Drip King of Wrestling. I want to say thank you to everybody for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay hydrated, and this is where we wave. Bye.
I brought that water on the show just for you.